wanted to talk to you about the overarching critique you make about President Obama, which is founded on this idea of American exceptionalism. You said in your remarks after the speech, you said that he doesn't believe America is exceptional and doesn't have anything to offer the world.
That America doesn't have anything.
That America doesn't have anything to offer the world. But the president has said things like America has a continued extraordinary role in the world. He said, "I'm enormously proud of my country and its role in history in the world." Isn't that?
I can give you other quotes where he says just the opposite when he's apologized for the role of America in the world, where he has said that America is not exceptional, where he said that we are exceptional as much as the Greeks and the British are exceptional.
But the sentence I just quoted you came after, where he says, "I believe in American exceptionalism just as I suspect the Brits believe in British exceptionalism and the Greeks believe in Greek exceptionalism. I'm enormously proud of my country and its role in the world." But isn't that?
My point is, he doesn't see. I don't believe that America is the same. That American exceptionalism is the same as Greek or British exceptions. I think we are truly different. I think we offer to the world something unique that the British and special that the British do not and the Greeks do not.
But he says it's extraordinary. That seems extraordinary. Seems like a word that's different than other things.
But I don't know how you say if it's extraordinary when you say it's the same.
One other thought is he said that America has a core set of values that are enshrined in the Constitution, in the body of law, and democratic practices that are, he says, exceptional.
Yeah, those are processes. And I would agree that those processes are important. But as you know, what I talked about was the core concept of American exceptionalism not being in the Constitution, but being in the Declaration of Independence. Which is the idea of limited government, and that the purpose of government is to create an opportunity for people to be free. That is, to me, the heart of American exceptionalism, not the how of how we implement that ideal.
But he believes, if you quibble on whether it's the Constitution or the Declaration,
I don't think it's a quibble. I think it's a substantial difference.
Well, but your argument is, in your speech today, you said he doesn't think about anything before the sort of New Deal era.
He said that.
Well, but in this case, he talks about the founding of the country. In his speech about Libya, he talked
also. He said it 2 weeks ago. He said that America was not a great country until 1965. He said that. He talked about Medicare, Medicaid, unemployment insurance, and he said America is a better country because of that. And then he went on and said, "I'll go one step further. America was not a great country until those programs were passed." That's what he said. So here, look, you can always politicians always give sort of platitudes. Look at his behavior and look at what else he says that is inconsistent with the platitudes that every American president has to say. Of course, what American president isn't going to say, "Oh, America's a great country"? I mean, of course he's going to say America's a great country or America's an exceptional country. How does he live from the standpoint of his public policy in evidencing that? And what I've seen is he apologizes for America, he sides with people who are antithetical to our values, and he turns his back on people who have supported us in the past.
But in the case of Libya, he said we must do this because we are a nation founded on freedom. And you said
what he said we have to do this to avert a humanitarian crisis. He did nothing until the United Nations said that he needed to act in order to avert a humanitarian crisis. He waited, he did nothing. If that was his opinion, why didn't he get involved when there was an opportunity for, 4 or 5 days into this conflict, when they were asking for our help, why didn't he get involved then if freedom was the watchword? It wasn't. You have to look at not just what he says, but what he does and why he does it.
Well, I mean, he did ultimately send planes in.
He ultimately sent planes in at the request of the United Nations to avert a humanitarian crisis, and he specifically said it was not to create freedom, it was not to overthrow Gaddafi. If his motivation was freedom, why did he say that our mission was not to overthrow Gaddafi? Do you want to answer that? You can't answer it. That's the whole point is, I mean, I understand. You'll find things that he says that sound contra to what I'm saying. But his actions and what he says in doing those actions are not consistent with the general platitudes that you would expect of anybody in America.
But you can argue, as you do, that freedom is a good and something America should support, but that there are circumstances in which freedom has to be perhaps curtailed because either of an alliance with somebody like Mubarak, as you make the case,
absolutely,
or other kinds of national interests. So you can indeed, as you've argued, freedom is part of the mix, but not the only determinant. So isn't that what the president's also saying?
I don't think that's what he said in this case.
in his speech, he listed a number of things that were prevalent, and he said humanitarian was one part, the Arab Spring, not disturbing that, was one part, and freedom and the obligation of America as a country founded on freedom.
But you look at how he acted and when he acted. If the issue was freedom, clearly the time to act was not as it looked like the rebels were going to be toppled and destroyed. I mean that, and clearly, if freedom was the watchword, was the anchor, he would not have said, we are getting involved for a limited amount of time, and our objective is not to free people. Right. Our objective is not to overthrow. So you can't say freedom is why you're doing this, and then say we're going to limit our objectives short of freedom.
So if you're ever if you were president, if you ever use freedom as your argument for the use of the military in any regard, then it's freedom all the way to the wall, the fullest extent of the military
I would never
involvement.
use freedom as the operative reason for any activity alone. It would have to be in conjunction with the national security of the country, that it is about our freedom also, not just about theirs.